So in today's video, I'll be talking about one way to gain an advantage of your competition as a young footballer. Now, this main advantage, this way to gain an edge, gain competitive edge over your peers is literally just research. And now, what I mean by research is literally, just have that desire to be a better footballer. Just if you have weaknesses, literally just there's so much advice online on the internet about how to just improve your game, how to improve your left foot, how to improve your dribbling, how to do this, how to do that. And I know people watch videos, but I feel like people don't actually, put in the time and put in the effort and actually, take what they see and actually do it on the training pitch. I feel like a lot of players, they'll watch certain football YouTubers, that become elites of the world, and they won't actually implement, the intensity that he trains at, or he won't actually implement his consistency. You understand? And I remember, and the reason I'm saying this because I was guilty for this as well. I remember I started watching Become Elite, for example, with 2016, 2017, 2018. And I would love watching his YouTube videos, his trainings. Maybe he was doing some individual training. Maybe he was doing some, some training, some what's called one-on partner training, some one-to-one partner training. And yeah, I love watching the videos, but I would never actually go out myself and actually start doing the training drills until I was like, what, 14, 15. But before then, I wasn't really training. I wasn't really, taking in his information. I was just sort of watching it as sort of like entertainment, sort of just as pleasure. You understand? Even the vids where he was talking about diet, he was saying, you need to eat this as a footballer. You need to eat this as a footballer. I was watching it, saying, yeah, I'm gonna eat that. And then guess what? Next day or next hour even, I was in there eating. I was in the kitchen, grabbing a crisp, grabbing chocolate, eating this, drinking fizzy drinks. You understand? So I know a lot of players who do this, where, in my opinion, you need to just research on how to become a better footballer, but then actually implement what you need to do as well. And obviously, as a young player, there's certain things that might happen to you as a young player. You don't know why it's happening. You understand? Like, for example, I remember me when I was younger. I used to get back spasms at like 11, 12 years old. Like I literally go, and let's say I'd go to like pick something up, my back would just start paining me, or I'd just get back spasms out of nowhere, where I'd be sitting down, maybe I'll be playing my PS4, sitting down, and my back would just start bugging out. My back would just start hurting so much. And I was thinking, why is this happening? And instead of me just it might happen for maybe 20 to 30 seconds and then it just goes away. But instead of me actually, researching, okay, why is my back hurting? What's going on here? I would just sort of be like, I would just sort of never take action and actually go out and research, okay, why is my back hurting? How do I avoid this, And to be honest, the answer the whole time was because literally I was overweight. That's an obvious reason of why your back's hurting, because let's be honest, if you're carrying excess weight, obviously your back's gonna hurt, your knees are gonna hurt. I remember I used to have a lot of back problems. I remember I used to have knee problems as well. Obviously, if you're overweight, your body's not supposed to carry that excess weight. You understand? If you're supposed to be, let's say you're 18 and you're supposed to be 70 kg naturally, but you're like 14 kg over, or maybe not even 14 kg. It doesn't even have to be drastic. If you're naturally supposed to be like 70 kg and you're 75 kg, you're 5 kg over for some reason, obviously your fitness is not gonna be there. Your body's gonna suffer consequences. You might start pulling certain muscles. Like I said, you might have back problems, knee problems. Just something's gonna happen simply because you're not meant to be at that weight. You understand? Your body's not used to carrying that excess 5 kg. So I remember literally years later. This was even after I lost the weight. After I lost the weight, I realized that I was having back pain, back spasms, literally because I had weak hamstrings and I had weak glutes. You understand? Because as a footballer, the ball's always in front of you. You're not really, obviously you're using your hamstrings as your accelerators and your decelerators to stop and go, but you're not really training it. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing like your plyometrics training, your squat jumps, or you're just doing tons of running, because even as a young player, not many young players do really like strength training with their legs. As a footballer, you're just running, which is mainly just quads. And so obviously what happens is that obviously your quads are getting strong, but your hamstrings behind you, you're never working on them, you're never strengthening them. And obviously, like I said, if you've got weak hamstrings and if you've got weak glutes as well, if you never do any sort of weighted squats or anything like that, you're not working your glutes at all. So because I had weak hamstrings and I had weak glutes, my back was gone. You understand? Because because obviously the back of you, that's all of that is called your posterior chain, and if your posterior chain is weak, that's when, like I said, that's when you're gonna be having issues with your back. And to fix this, you have to start doing exercises like RDLs, deadlifts, hip thrusts. You know what I'm saying? I only learn about these like a few years later. Maybe, like I said, I was having back spasms at like 12, and I'd only realized these things at like 16, 17, where, like I said, I realized you had to do, you know, exercises like hip thrusts, RDLs and deadlifts to actually, you know, to just sort of bulletproof your back, to make sure that you don't have any back spasms, you don't have any pain there, that you can actually, you know, accelerate, decelerate, so that your hamstrings are strengthened. You're not pulling any hamstrings. Because I remember I used to have pain in my hamstrings as well. So it's kind of like, yo, like I said, as a footballer, you just have to have the desire to sort of just research anything that you're not good enough, that you're not good at. Just sort of research it. Whether it's your dribbling, whether it's how to improve your weak foot, what's it called? What videos on how to improve your weak foot, and just sort of do trial and error. Just see what works for you, because like I said, I get that there's so much content online about football. One person's telling you to do this to improve, another person's telling you to do this. But at least you just go through trial and error. You're gonna have to go through that trial and error period where it's like, yo, okay, I need to. Let's say you want to improve your weak foot. Alright, cool. I'm gonna try this exercise. I'm gonna do wall passes. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Until eventually you start seeing results in a certain. You start seeing results whilst you're doing a certain exercise. Maybe you find that wall passes work for you, work on your weak foot, whereas something else doesn't really work. So what you have to do, you just keep doing wall passes, and then you forget all the other stuff. You understand? So literally, as a young footballer, you just have to. In my opinion, one way to gain a competitive advantage is just to research. So yeah, the reason I emphasize research is that not a lot of young players are doing it. I remember, especially when I was a younger player, I wasn't really, you know, obsessed. I didn't really have a desire to, you know, work on my game, work on my flaws, work on my improvements, simply because even though I had a lot of things to work on my game, I was still always comfortably, you know, like a top 3 player on every single team I played on. You understand? And I was, you know, I would play matches where, you know, I'd have a good game, and, you know, players from the other team are telling me, oh yeah, you had a good game. Or I'd have managers from the other team saying, oh yeah, you had a good game today. And obviously, hearing that as a young kid, you know what I'm saying, you get comfortable. You start thinking that, yo, you're this great player, blah, blah. But what you don't realize is that football is so competitive, and it's like, yeah, I was playing against players who were playing for, you know, semi-pro clubs at youth level, but I wasn't, in my mind, I wasn't thinking about, but what about the academy players? You understand? Because if I ultimately wanted to get into an academy, I didn't realize in my head, I didn't realize in my 13-year-old brain that, yo, I actually need to be better than one of these guys. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my brother gets into the same trap as well, where, you know, he's feeling himself. You know, he might have scored 2 goals, he's winning games, he's getting man of the matches. Other parents are telling him that he's so great, which ultimately, like I said, it's a good thing he's performing well. I love the fact that he's performing well, but I have to be the guy to be like, yo, you need to actually go out and work on your game, because you haven't seen levels yet. You understand? Especially if you haven't played for an academy, you haven't really seen the levels. Like these academy guys, if you want to displace one of them out of the academy, if you want to take their place, you gotta realize that these guys are training. These guys are training, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a week. You know what I'm saying? These guys are getting constant feedback from coaches. This is another thing as well. They're getting constant feedback from coaches on what they need to work on, and they will go out and they'll work on. The coaches will literally give them a step-by-step plan about, alright, cool, we need you to work on your left foot, do this. We need you to be better at your scanning, be better at taking the ball on your back foot, do these, and they will go and they'll implement, and that's how they keep their place in the academy. That's how they keep getting better as footballers. But especially if you're playing, maybe you're playing a semi-pro club at youth level, or you're playing simply Sunday league or grassroots football, your coaches won't necessarily tell you that. Especially when you're a young player, a lot of coaches at that level sort of have that mentality of like, oh, just go out and let the kids have fun. They probably have this mentality. It probably doesn't change. That mentality doesn't change until you get up to 16. So it's only when you get up to 16 where the coaches will actually get like onto you. Majority of coaches will get onto you. Obviously, you have you have the outliers, where you have coaches who are tough on, you know, the under 10s. They're tough on their under 13s. They tell them, they cast them out, which I actually think is a good thing. You understand? As long as it doesn't get like disrespectful. As long as the coach's heart is in the right place and is trying to improve his players, I think that's good. But the majority of coaches at that, like I said, the majority of coaches maybe at semi-pro youth level or Sunday league youth level, until up to the age of 16, they don't really coach players. They don't really try to improve. They don't really try to improve players. They won't tell you do this, do that. You might tell your coach, oh coach, I always have this lingering ankle injury or this lingering calf injury, and your coach just might be your coach just might say some random shit like don't worry, just make sure you put some ice on it when you get home, you understand? But it keeps happening, you keep having calf issues, you keep having back issues, you understand? Whereas in the academy, if one of their youth players are complaining about, oh coach, I'm always getting cramp in my calves, I'm always having back issues, the academy coaches are gonna go to like their team doctors and they're gonna be like, yo, one of my players has problems with their back, what can we do? And obviously the doctors will give them that information. The doctors will be like, yo, he needs to do these exercises, he needs to stretch, he needs to do this. Whereas as a grassroots player, you're not really getting that. This is why research is so crucial. You just need to find all this information out yourself, because as a grassroots player, nobody's really gonna give you the answer, you understand? Unless your dad played at a high level or you had someone else around you played at a high level, people don't really know about these certain things pertaining to what I'm talking in terms of, you know, technicals, in terms of how to improve your technicals, how to improve your physicals, how to avoid certain injuries. It's just little things like that. How to actually, what stretches you should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Just little things like that. No one's actually gonna tell you that as a young player. You just sort of have to figure it out yourself. And if you don't do research, you know what I'm saying, you're just, like I said, you're gonna look back just like me and you're gonna be like, damn, if only I knew what I knew now at 20 years old, if only I knew what I knew now when I was 14, imagine what I could have been, or 13, 12, even 15, 16, imagine if I knew what I knew 5 years ago. I could have, you know what I'm saying, I could have gone to a high level, I could have done this, I could have done that. But it's literally just through the research. I only started, you know, doing research on, strength and conditioning at like what, 17, 18. I started learning different stuff, you know, what gym, nobody's gonna tell you what gym exercise to do as a footballer. Like, what's the most important thing? I didn't really understand the importance at 14 years old. I didn't really understand the importance of having a strong core and having strong legs, and how to actually make your core stronger, how to actually make, you know, your legs stronger, you understand? I thought, just do a couple of sit-ups and you'll be good. But there's so much more to it, you understand? Even with your legs, I just thought, just do a couple of burpees and I'll be good, you know what I'm saying? But there's so much more to it, you know. You have to start in the gym, you have to actually start putting weights yourself, actually start, you know, doing barbell back squats, doing certain things. Doing RDLs, even your upper body, start standing up and doing, you know, shoulder presses, start doing pull-ups, push-ups, just little things like that. Even when it comes to your core, not just doing sit-ups, but doing rotation, doing cable rotations as well. Just certain things that you find out later on in life, you understand? I feel like as a young player, just constantly just research. If you have an issue that you need to fix, whether it's technically, physically, even mentally in your game as well. How many 14, 15-year-olds know about, you know, the power of meditation or visualization? Just little tips and tricks like that. So, like I said, as a young player, if you're doing all these things, if you're researching all these things, and you know all this information, you have a head start on 90% of people at your age, you understand? You have a head start. This could be, even if you're like older, even if you're like 17, 18, and you're still trying to, you know, push on, be the best player you can be. Maybe you're not in an academy, but you're playing semi-pro and you're trying to rise the ranks of semi-pro. Majority of players don't really know these little tricks, little tips, little hacks. It can even be diet, you know what I'm saying? Not many people know, you know, how to optimize their diet, maybe optimize their sleep. Literally just little things like that. Everything combined into one to, you know, give you an advantage. Make sure that you're the best player you can be. And the thing is that makes this so difficult is that as a young player, I feel like as young people in general, we want everything to be quick, you understand? We want everything to be quick. So if you start a new sort of, let's say you start a new way to improve your fitness, you understand? This is another example I was gonna say. Let's say you start a new way to improve your fitness. A lot of players want to see those results in a week, in 2 weeks, you understand? But maybe it's not gonna come until, maybe it's gonna take you maybe 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and that's the difficult bit. That's why players are just like, oh, it doesn't work. People start saying, oh, it doesn't really work anyway. You understand? And the thing is, like I said, let's say you might be 2 months into doing your new routine to, you know, improve your fitness. And then maybe it's on that 3rd month where you would have saw the progress, you would have saw the gains, but because you stopped doing it, you ultimately didn't get the results, you didn't get that reward, you understand? And that's the hardest thing as a young player playing football, is that you have to realize to be patient, that the work, it takes time, you understand? Learning a new skill, it takes time. And it also takes bravery and courage, I feel like, you know. If, let's say if you're a winger and you're trying to do a new trick to beat your defender 1v1. It takes courage to, you know, try a new skill that you've never tried before in a match, but ultimately you have to try. And even if you mess up, you just have to firm it. You just have to say, yo, I tried a new skill. Let me go back to the training ground. I'll try do it again, and then I'll try it next match. And maybe it doesn't work next match, but maybe on that 3rd match day where you've been trying it, you've been practicing, maybe it finally comes off and you're like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. You understand? It's just little things like that. I wish I had researched, you know, how to actually, the best ways to improve your fitness, because as a 14, 15-year-old, I just assumed, oh, to improve my fitness, just go run, just go on 5Ks, 6Ks, 7Ks, just run, you understand? I thought all I need to do was literally just run. Whereas now I feel like the best way to improve your fitness, in my opinion, is to do like sprint interval training. Like, I'm talking about you do 60 meter sprints, you do 80 meter sprints, and you do 100 meter sprints. So what I like to do is that I'll do 5 sets. So I get a cone, I mark out 60 yards, 80 yards, and 120 yards actually. So I do 60, 80, 120, and so what I'll do, I'll start off sprint for 60. Walk back. As soon as I get back to that starting point, I'll go 80. I'll sprint 80. As soon as I walk back, as soon as I get back to that starting point, 120 yards. As soon as I get back to the starting point, little sip of water, maybe rest for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then just go again. 60 back, 60 walk back, 80 walk back, 120 walk back, little sip of water, little 1 minute break, and then just go again. And I might do that 5 or 6 times, and I feel like that for me has helped me with my fitness way more, because like I said, in football, like I've said before, in football you're not just constantly just running in one direction. You're changing your pace, you're changing your speeds, you're changing your pace, changing your speeds, and you're also, the distance of how far you need to sprint as well changes. So that's why I'm not just doing 120s, because there's going to be times in a match where I might only have to sprint 10 yards, I might only have to sprint 20 yards, and then there's other times where when there's a transition, I'm gonna have to sprint the full length of the pitch, whether that's to, you know, support my team in the attack, or get back and help my team in defense, you understand? So I just wish I had this sort of knowledge before, but because I didn't research, because I've just come home from football and just, you know, go on the PS4, or I'll be watching things like the Sidemen, you understand? I literally just come home and just log off from football, you understand? Which is a good thing. It's good to have escapes, but it's also, you also need to take that time to, you know, actually do your research on how to become a better player, you understand? You need to basically just lock in, just ask yourself the question, yo, if you feel like you're a good footballer now, just ask yourself the question, imagine if I research, imagine if I do this, imagine if I just did 2 extra training sessions a week, how good could I actually be? You need to be fueled by the motivation of, you need to picture in your mind your potential, you know, what type of player you would be if you actually just locked in and you actually just achieved your true potential, you understand? I feel like that's what motivates me, in my opinion, where that's what basically keeps me going, where it's like, you know, I might want to do something, I might want to, you know, eat some junk food, or I might not want to go train that day, but I keep telling myself, yo, if I need to go train, because if I don't train, I'm not going to be the best version of myself, you understand? Or and I try to picture myself, imagine the version of me who trains, you know, consistently. I'm consistent, train every day, I'm a good player already, but what happens if I just take it that bit more seriously, you know what I'm saying? What happens if I go from 3 individual training sessions to 4, you know, how good can I be then? And I feel like that's the sort of mindset you have to have. You have to be motivated by the thought of you at your 100% capacity, you understand? Especially if you feel like you're a good player now, especially if you've been the best player on most teams that you've been on. Imagine if you just took it a bit more seriously. How far could you actually climb, you understand? So yeah, as it pertains to research, just make sure you research, bro, because not just in football, but just in this world in general, I feel like people don't do stuff is simply because of a lack of knowledge. You understand? It's just a lack of knowledge. I feel like if people actually knew what to do, they would actually do it, or not even just knowing what to do, how to do. Because you know, some players think they know how to improve their fitness. Like I thought I knew how to improve my fitness. What's it called? But I didn't really know, you know, the best ways to actually do it. I just assumed, oh, just go run. You understand? Same as like working on my dribbling. You know, I do cone drills. I'd work on my dribbling, but the cones were so close together. You understand? I'd only focus on on dribbling close controls. I didn't focus on dribbling at different distances, dribbling at medium distances and dribbling at long distances. Because deep it's good to have good close control, but football's an 11-a-side game. It's not a 5-a-side game. You're gonna have to carry that ball 10 yards, 15 yards at times. You understand? And if you're not used to carrying that ball 10, 15 yards, yeah. So if you're not used to carrying the ball at far distances, you may struggle on a match day. But yeah, that's what I mean by, you know, researching, just learning certain things. Because like I said, certain people just have that advantage. Certain people have, you know, maybe they have dads who played at a high level. Maybe, you know, the academy kids, they have, you know, their coaches giving them all the info on how to become a better player. They have, you know, team doctors, team nutritionists. They have all these people giving them information. But a lot of players, they're just sort of clutching at straws. They just don't have that knowledge. They don't know how to get better. They don't know, you know, the little secrets on how to get better. Just little things, you understand. It's most players might have, you know, the 80% down patch. You know, the 80% is like the training, the fitness, the physical aspect of it. But the 20% is like, the 20% as a young player is like the diet, the mental preparation, you know, the recovery, the importance of sleep, just little things like that. I feel like that 20%, that's what sort of separating, you know, the top academy players from players who may be good enough, but they're just not implementing these things to, you know, actually get to that certain level. But yeah, just make sure you research. Become obsessed with, you know, just finding little things to get better at each and every single day. And trust me, you're gonna gain an advantage over other young players at your age. Because like I said, majority of players, they're not doing it. You understand? And if you want to ultimately catch the academy players, if you ultimately want to take one of their places, you're gonna have to show that you're better than them. And if they're doing all of them things, you're gonna have to do it as well. But that's all I've got to say for this vid. Hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.